Hello once again, everybody. We're visiting today with Marc Amante. We are at Farm Science Review. The last time, Marc, that we visited, you were at the aquaponics building on the campus of Central State University, handling some fish and showing us how certain plants grow there. And that was interesting, but today we're back, and I think we have something as interesting, if not more so. You know, I never knew how to grow mushrooms. I always thought that you harvested mushrooms from a natural site, but actually you can force mushrooms to grow almost anywhere.
Yeah, you can. There's absolutely ways you can do mushrooms outdoors in your backyard, or there are a lot of mushrooms are produced in controlled environments too, but my focus here right now is on outdoor production of mushrooms.
Okay, well, we have a prop here with us in front, and is this a typical log that you would take, cut, and get ready to produce mushrooms?
Yes, absolutely. So this type of production is called a bolt in the industry, and you can do different types of mushrooms in a log. Usually 4 to 6 inches in diameter is pretty standard. Shiitakes, oysters. Sometimes you can do some other unusual mushrooms like nameko, maitake, chicken of the woods, or other types of mushrooms you can actually cultivate by using some logs that, maybe if you have a wood lot or a friend removing a tree. It's a great way to do it outdoor production.
And you actually have prepared some of these at your home.
Yes, that's correct. I live in an urban environment. I have 120 logs on the north side of my house. I've created a little shaded laying yard underneath some trees and some shade cloth. And so I'm actually producing some mushrooms for sale at the local farmers market.
Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. As I look at this log, there are certain sites that look like somebody may have taken a drill and done something with the log. Yeah,
absolutely right. So when you do this bolt type of production, what you do is you drill holes regularly spaced across the log. Right now, on these logs, our holes are roughly 3 to 4 inches apart from each other. Some are a little closer. And you drill the holes in, and you can use a tool to put. In this case, we were using sawdust spawn. So this is sawdust that was inoculated with the mushroom mycelium, which is the little root-like structures that make up the bulk of a mushroom organism. What we eat in a mushroom is really the very smallest part of the mushroom. It's called the fruiting body. But so we have the mycelium on sawdust that we then stuck into these holes, and you can see we've coated it with wax here. That's to keep moisture in and pests out. Because moisture is really the key for the mushroom to develop and colonize the whole log.
So if moisture is the key, after something like this is done, would you drop the log in water?
Not initially. So once the log is inoculated, you keep it in a shaded space. You make sure it gets about an inch of water a week, just like your vegetable garden. A great way that I used a soaker hose on a big stack of logs to soak them. And once the log is fully colonized, however, certain strains of shiitake mushroom, you can soak them in water, and that will cause the log to make mushrooms. So instead of waiting for the mushroom to fruit naturally when it's cold and moist, like in the spring and the fall, you can actually create a regular production schedule by using that type of strain of shiitake.
Okay, now I'm curious about what kind of wood, hardwood or softwood?
Most mushrooms are going to be all in different kinds of hardwood, and different hardwoods are better for different species and different strains. It's not always super well studied. Like, one thing we know is the shiitakes really like oak, for example, and sugar maple. And they'll do okay in other kinds of maples. This is either a silver or a Norway maple log. So they'll produce all right in there, but there are some that they won't do well. So, shiitakes aren't really the best for like cottonwood or poplars. But oysters really love cottonwood and poplars and can't grow in oak.
Okay, now, as far as the process of finding the wood and putting the holes in, something like this, how long does that take? It looks like it could be simple, but oftentimes some of the simple things take longer.
Well, this is one of the things where it could be, it depends on, your scale and what kind of tools you want to buy. If you don't have a lot of money to spend, but you have access to logs, all you need really is a drill and a hammer and a little hot plate or a stove to melt cheese wax. Because then what you can do is you can take these little, what's called plug spawn, little dowels that are inoculated with the mycelium instead of sawdust, drill the hole, put the dowel in, hammer it in, cover them with wax. That's really cheap, really easy. Anybody can do it. Takes a long time though. So, if you want to speed it up, if you're doing commercial scale or things like that, that kind of log, if you're doing the dowel method and hammering in and waxing, that might take you half an hour. If you buy this fancy inoculating tool like I use at home, because I'm doing a bunch of logs and I don't have a lot of time, that you just stick the spawn in and it injects the spawn and caps it with a styrofoam cap instead of the wax. And I can do a log in 7 minutes, and there are people who can do it in 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, now, finding the sawdust with the mycelium already injected, is that easy to find a company that does that?
Yes, there are a number of companies out there that do it. A quick Google search, if you search for mushroom spawn, will come up with some common ones. The ones that I'm most familiar with are North Spore, Fungi Perfecti, and Field and Forest are the ones that I am most familiar with, but there are plenty of others out there as well. And oftentimes they'll sell mushroom kits for like indoor production, but they'll also sell bags of spawn you can do for outdoor production as well.
Okay, next question is on time. When you have something, if this is finished with and it's been drilled, the mycelium has been infused, how long do we have to wait before we have a crop?
Well, so that's a great question, and it's going to depend on what strain of mushroom, the species of mushroom, and the tree that you use. So like how I mentioned how different species of mushroom like different trees, it means they actually grow in different rates in them. So, a shiitake might colonize an oak log slightly faster than a maple. So it kind of depends. The general rule is about 3 to 12 months. So I have some oyster mushrooms that I inoculated in May, and I was getting my first fruiting off of them here in late August. I did my shiitakes at about the same time, and I've started to get a few shiitakes. I'm not at full production yet on some of them. And I think some of them are really going to have to be waiting until next spring to really, really produce. But it's kind of an experimental procedure. You try different things, and that's actually what's really important. If you're doing this, you want to make sure you write down what strain you used and what species of tree you used. So that way, if you look at it the next year and say, oh, this took X number of months to colonize, it got me this many pounds of mushrooms. So then you can try different things and see what works best. This log was made at a workshop I did just last Saturday, where we got a bunch of folks together. They drilled their own logs, inoculated them, and took them home. So we're going to do more of those in the spring, and hopefully then continuing on in the years to come.
Very good. Sounds interesting. We've been visiting with Marc Amante. Marc, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And stay with us, back with more in Ohio Country today.